Yo, welcome back to Brandon Video here on the second channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Orlando Regionals. Of course, I attended Orlando and got 105th place with Reggie's. Orlando Regionals was wild. I'm not going to lie, man. It was a wild time. It was a lot of fun. Ended up hanging out with a lot of different friends. It was just a blast. Might be one of my favorite weekends I think I've ever had. Very memorable weekend. A lot of really cool things happened. I can honestly do like a top 10 most insane moments from this weekend. It was just that sick. It was that fun. And yeah, Orlando Regionals was, of course, the largest regionals of all time in terms of like players. Like the Pokemon TCG players, there's like 1,400 something players in the tournament, which is a lot. That's a lot of players. But if you combine Pokemon Go and VGC, it was a huge outcome. There's 1,682 players in the tournament. And yeah, I ended up bringing Reggie's to the tournament because I thought Reggie's was like my safest pick. Originally, I was going to play an Arceus Flying Pikachu deck. Now, this was the main deck I was working on for a bit, was actually my anti-Goodra tech. I've been talking about this anti-Goodra tech for a while. My anti-Goodra card was a Alolan Vulpix V-Star. The idea behind the Flying Pikachu Arceus Vulpix deck is you just kind of counter everything. You have like the Flying Pikachu for the Lost Box and the Reggies. I had a 1/1 Aerodactyl to beat Lugia, and Canceling Clone did end up flopping pretty hard in this tournament. So obviously it's a good thing that I mean, Aerodactyl would have been good regardless because, again, like, Canceling Clone was, like, hyped up. No one really used it. And then you have the Alolan Vulpix V-Star. The idea behind Vulpix was that it's really good against Goodra because against Goodra, you can use your Vulpix V-Star on the V-Star, and they can't attack you because they have an ability, and they don't play Path, and you're not going to put a Path in play against them. And you just kind of use Vulpix. They can't damage you, and you shred through Rolling Iron. The problem is, I realized they can just attack you with the Baby Goodra, which puts on a lot of pressure. It two-shots you. It's really difficult because, like, all they can do is attack with Goodra. Like, they can't use Greninja or Cram, or even if they had, like, a Zamazenta, they can't even use that in the deck to attack your Vulpix. But, again, if they just use Baby Goodra, it becomes really difficult to try to navigate the matchup. So it definitely was a tougher matchup. So I was like, maybe I don't play this deck. And honestly, like, I wasn't really feeling Arceus anyways at the end of the day. Because, like, Arceus is just one of those, like, you kind of have to, like, go first, or you have to not miss a beat type of deck. I just didn't want to do it. I was going to also do Eternatus VMAX, which I was very close to playing, but I ended up going on Reggie's because I thought Reggie's was the safest pick. I'm very comfortable with the deck. I've done well with it previously. I've done well in the late night. I did well with it at the Fan Expo eBay tournament. I lost my win in at Baltimore, with Reggie's because, like, I had like Flying Pikachu and still managed to, like, do that well. So I was confident in the deck choice. I also didn't expect Flying Pikachu to see play at all, or at the very least, like, I didn't even expect to hit one, which, funny enough, I played against 2 Flying Pikachu decks in the tournament, which is weird. So yeah, Reggie's I thought was a great meta call. Not many decks really tech for it right now. Lugia was cutting the Collapse Stadium out of the deck. Big Parasol wasn't even in half the Goodra list, so, like, I really thought that Reggie's was going to be a good call, and it ended up working out really, really well for me. I started the tournament off at 6-0, which was crazy. So round 1, I'm playing against Alexander Corbin, who was actually a fan of the channel. And shout out to Alexander. He actually gave me this Takeout Reverse Holo Machamp from Diamond and Pearl. It's one of the most infamous cards in the Diamond and Pearl era, Takeout Machamp. Before the Rare Candy Errata, it was like an infamous donk deck. It was one of my favorite cards, actually. It's actually the first card I brought to a regionals way back in the day when I played in the Diamond and Pearl era. And I used it as my V-Star marker the entire tournament, which I thought was a good luck charm, to be honest. Because after round 1, I went on like a hot 5-win streak with Reggie's in the tournament. But Alexander was playing the Lost Ray deck. I won round 1. Round 2, he beat me. He had the Raikou Goon, so it was kind of tough. And then, actually, in round 3, he conceded to me and let me have the win, which is very nice of him. Yeah, appreciate Alexander. I mean, without Alexander, I don't know if I would have made that hot streak, because, you know, he conceded me. He gave me the lucky Takeout Machamp V-Star marker. So just shout out Alexander for that. And then round 2, playing against Mateus Diaz, who's on the Lugia deck, which went pretty fine. Actually, in game 1, I prized both my Regice and the Heavy Ball. And I still ended up winning the game because I was able to manually build up Regidrago. And he actually attacked me with Stoutland V, which allowed me to, like, because of the damage he takes from Stoutland's attack that makes him take 30 damage. This, in turn, allowed me to knock out his Stoutland with Regidrago, and then go, well, I hit with Regidrago, knocks me out Stoutland, and then I promote the Regieleki, and then I attach 1 energy to it and do 20 to it and knock it out, and I got the Regice out of the prizes. So I feel like if he didn't do that, I would have lost that game. But I won game 2. Regice is like the best card in the Lugia matchup outside of Regieleki because Regice makes Lugia in some weird spots. They have to retreat the Lugia, and especially when they're benching Manaphy, Dunsparce, and Pumpkaboo, their bench is like extremely clogged up, which makes Regice really annoying for Lugia to deal with. So Regice, after that game, I learned Regice is like one of the best cards in the Lugia matchup. Round 3 was against Cody, who was also on, I think it was a Lugia deck. Can't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was Lugia again. And this match went kind of the same way I expected it. Just kind of did my thing with the Regis, and then I think the Lugia, yeah. It's kind of, I can't really remember round 3 that much for whatever reason, but I do remember, I think it was a Lugia deck. Then round 4 was actually against a Flying Pikachu Tapu Koko Arceus deck. And this one was like, I was like, oh no, not again. How am I hitting a Flying Pikachu deck in this tournament when like I don't think it's even going to be popular at all? And because he mulliganed and I saw he had a Koko VMAX in the deck. And I'm like, yeah, he's playing Flying Pikachu. But thankfully, I ended up winning both games. Game 1 was kind of like, it was interesting. I was able to, I think I got like a knockout on a Flying Pikachu VMAX with like the Regice combo because he didn't get 2 up. Round 3 was unfortunate for him because I Marnie Pathed him and he like bricked, and then I basically just started attacking turn 2. And he just kind of couldn't keep up, and I ended up winning because I kind of just got a lucky Marnie on him. And that's one of the reasons why I like Reggie so much is because Marnie is really good. Marnie Path is a really good combo, and Reggie is one of the only decks in the format that can actually use Marnie Path to a high degree. So thankfully, I ended up winning that game. It was a pretty interesting matchup because I think I probably would have. I mean, Arceus Pikachu is not as bad as, like, actually, it might even be worse than the Lugia Pikachu deck I played against. Because Lugia Pikachu at least has to bench a lot more Pokemon, where Arceus Pikachu can really just go Arceus into 1 Pikachu and just solo Dolo me. So definitely could have been tough. Round 5 was against Robert Simpson, who actually is a friend of mine who goes to my locals. He was playing the Lost Box Kyogre deck, and I ended up winning both games too. The matchup is actually not that great, or it's not bad, but it's definitely sketchy because he has Dragonite, which has a 2-shot. He also has Snorlax, which forces me into some weird spots. And then he has, of course, the Kyogre, which he can use the Kyogre to take out 2 Regis at once. But the games went pretty okay for me. He had a lot of really bad Lost Zone hits in both games. Like, a lot of his Lost Zones... a lot of his Lost Zone hits that he had in both games were really bad. He had some awkward hits there. I think in Game 1, he had like 4 energy in the Lost Zone, and he had Recycler in there. I think Game 2, he also lost a lot of energy. I also never really Marnied him. I actually let him keep a big hand on purpose because I had a Path in play, and it made it hard for him to do Greninja under Path, so he wasn't able to, like... I tried to make it as hard as I could for him to cycle energy in the discard pile. And the bigger his hand got, the more clunkier it got, and like the more awkward it could be to find energy for like your Pokemon. You have more energy in your hand than in your deck, so it's harder to do Mirage Gate. You have to waste your Rod, which you might want to save for Kyogre. So I just made it really awkward for him by not disrupting his hand, which weirdly enough ended up being a really good strategy against the Lost Box decks I ended up playing against in the tournament. Whereas like if I don't play a Marnie against you, because a lot of your instinct against Lost Box is that they have like a 7-10 card hand, you're gonna Marnie them. But because of like a Ranguru and because like Marnie sometimes helps them because it puts energy and declunk cards back into their deck for them to like search out with Mirage Gate, Marnie a Lost Box is actually not as good as I thought it would be. So I just let him kind of have a huge hand because my deck is very autopilot, so I didn't really have to do too much. So I was like, maybe if I don't Marnie him, then it'll be okay. And it kind of worked out. Obviously, he missed a couple beats along the way, which really did help me win those 2 sets. And then, of course, round 6, I ended up going on stream, which was probably the highlight of the event for me, was going on stream at 6-0, which, like, to me is just freaking insane. Like, I ended up going 6-0 on stream with the Reggie deck because I ended up playing against Jose Marzan, who was playing a Lugia Flying Pikachu deck. So I somehow hit another Flying Pikachu deck in this tournament. Thankfully, I won this one too. This matchup, I actually, looking at it, I knew that actually he was playing this deck because he played against PJ earlier in the tournament, so I actually knew what he was playing. But I don't know, like the Flying Pikachu Lugia deck is really cool. It's definitely a really cool idea. I've seen it online in like the online tourneys a bit, but I actually wasn't nervous in this matchup because like he has to play a Lugia, which is like an easy KO. You know, he has to put at least 1 Archeops in play, and again, having to play down Pumpkaboo, you know, he has to put 2 Flying Peaks in play. Like the Flying Pikachu matchup is not that bad, especially when like you get an early aggressive start against them. You can take out their Pikachus, take out a Lugia. You have the ability to like get a Marnie Path to the peak to stick, which can be very, very powerful in this matchup. So I honestly wasn't feeling bad in the matchup at all. I thought that the matchup was okay. And And I ended up winning game 2 and 3. Game 1 I lost. Game 1 went a little rough for me. I actually was trying to get as much deck knowledge as I could. I wanted to know what he actually had in the deck. I didn't know if he was playing like Collapsed or what else he was playing. So I wanted a bit of deck knowledge. And then going to game 2, I won game 2. And then game 3 was insane. I don't know if I've seen Reggie draw this well before in my life. Game 2 was freaking mental. So I got the turn 1 Reggie Drago attack on his Raikou, which is just absurd. And then in the second turn, he bends the Pikachu, and I made the decision. I'm like, because I had Vacuum Research in hand, and I didn't want to lose the Vacuum because I knew how important it is against a Parasol. So I was like, I can't afford to get rid of this. So what I did was I'm like, what if I try to Dragon's Horde into what if I Dragon's Horde into Serena if I get lucky? So I gambled it, and it paid off. I literally Dragon's Horded into the Serena to KO the Pikachu, which is insane. And, like, that was just insane how good the deck drew. Like, I don't think I drew that well in the entire tournament. I had some pretty good starts in the tournament. I had a lot of good turns, but that turn was just freaking mental. Like, I don't know if I've ever started that well with Reggies in my life before. That was insane. Like, when I drew the 2 cards and I saw the Serena, I was almost about to jump out of the seat because I could not believe I drew that. That was insane. And thankfully, actually, Jose, shout out to Jose, props for this. It was a really nice thing he did. So there's like 12 seconds in the round. And Jose actually conceded to me. Because I actually think we might have tied we might have gotten a tie. So he actually conceded to me with like 12 seconds left on the timer. I had like a 4-second turn after I KO'd the Pikachu because all he did was from a Pumpkaboo, and I just went Regieleki, attach, knockout. Like I made my turn as quick as possible on purpose because I knew time was coming down. And he actually just conceded me, which there was a chance we could have tied and would not have been good for either. So it was, shout out to Jose for that. But yeah, really epic win on stream. I ended up getting interviewed by Frosted Caribou, which is awesome too. I want to thank everybody for all the support on the interview and the matches. I did watch the stream back a couple times. It was really nice to see everybody supporting me from the stream match. It was an insane game. I still can't believe that win. Like that Reggie Drago hit into Serena, I still can't get over. Like that was insane. But yeah, that's just proof that Reggie's is just like the hottest deck ever. Like when Reggie's runs hot, it's like unbeatable. And that game 3 is like proof that Reggie's is like kind of one of those decks that like if you get like a lucky sack like and run that hot, man, the deck is just on another level of how good it is. And the deck, that was the hottest deck I ever ran. And thankfully it ran hot on stream. So 1, it was entertaining. 2, it allowed me to go 6-0. So I ended up going 6-0 at Baltimore with Reggie's, which blew my mind. So Reggie's was doing pretty well. And then round number 7, I actually played against another Mew deck, or I played against my first Mew deck, sorry. This one was Lost City Mew. Unfortunately, both games were just kind of not bad. I think the deck was drawing fine for me. The problem was he was able to Lost City my Regices twice, both games, and honestly, I'm kind of upset that did happen. I feel like I don't know if it was bad luck, because I wasn't able to like find my path as easily, but it definitely could have went a little bit better for me in round number 7. Unfortunately, breaking my win streak at 6-0. And then round 8, I kind of played like an NPC. My opponent actually offered the ID, so I could have went 6-1-1, which I should have taken. I don't know why I didn't take the ID. It was kind of silly of me. Because it was actually a Reggie-Mir. And I decided to play it out because I wanted to see if I thought the Reggie-Mir was fine. I don't even know if I've lost a best of 3 in a Reggie-Mir yet since I've played Reggies. So I felt fine in the matchup. So I was like, we'll play it out. That's fine. Big mistake. He beat me both games. Game 1, he went first and got the turn to attack. Game 2, I didn't really get the hottest start. And also the problem was I accidentally attached the Speed Light Energy to my Regieleki. And I drew 2 cards, but the third card like fell and like kind of like I accidentally kind of like drew it a little bit. Like I didn't draw it, like I didn't put it in my hand, but I kind of saw what the card was, the third card, because I accidentally drew it because I went speed. I drew too fast and the card kind of like slipped and I grabbed it by accident and saw what it was. So we called the judge on that, and I got a DPL. So my opponent immediately got like a 2-prize lead on me. So I just conceded. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's no way I'm beating a Reggie-Mir down 2 prizes. It's not going to happen. So I let him have the win. Unfortunate. I should have taken the ID. I was really tilted because I should have taken the ID because now if my last round opponent doesn't want to ID, I have to play it out. And if I lose, I don't make day 2, which would have really just it would have ruined my weekend because I start off 6-0 and then I lost 2 games in a row. One of them was a really just stupid loss. And then going into the round 9, thankfully I ran David Zhang, who's a homie, and actually just offered the ID. I'm like, yeah, okay, we can ID. So me and David ID'd into day 2. So shout out to David for the ID. Because I was a little nervous. I was like, there's a good chance I hit somebody who doesn't want to ID and play the game out. Try to get as many points as they can going into day 2. Thankfully, David was nice enough and wanted to ID, so we got into day 2. I was worried, man. I was like, oh, if I don't make day 2, I am going to actually be so cheesed. So day 2, unfortunately, I actually ended up showing up, like, I think it was like 5 minutes late. Day 2 started even earlier than day 1, which was fine, but like, I don't know, I'm not a morning person. I woke up like, I think 15 minutes before day 2, and we had to pack and leave the hotel because we were checking out at the time too, so I ended up being like 15 or like 5 minutes late or something. And thankfully, I didn't get a loss. Basically, what happened was I could never tie. So against Carlos, I was never able to tie against him. So I had to I had to win, because if it ever went to a tie, he would immediately get the win instead of the tie. So unfortunately, I lost. It was against Arcdura. Game 1, he just kind of bodied me with like Lost City. Game 1, I won. Game 2, he bodied me with Lost City. Game 3, same thing. He just kind of found the Lost City at the right moment and got 2 Reggies in the Lost Zone and lost the game from there. I actually think I would have won Game 3 had he not used Lost Zone. If he did not get the last Lost Zone hit on my last Regirock, because he was Lost Zoning my Regirocks, if he didn't get that last Lost City, I actually think I would have won that game. Because he had like, I think 4 prizes left, and I only had to knock out 1 more Duraludon. His board state he had 2 Arceus in play, and I had a Regigigas. My Gigas just killed his Duraludon with the Path Belt, and he then Lost City'd and bossed my last Regirock. I think I would have won that game had he not done that. I think I would have won that game if he didn't play the Lost City. So, very disappointing loss. Anthony, sorry, not Carlos. It was Anthony. I got the names mixed up. Sorry about that. Round number 11, I played against Maddox, who actually was another fan of the channel, so shout out to Maddox. He was playing the Mew deck. Actually, only playing 1 Vacuum in the deck, so Path of Peak was pretty good in the matchup. And he did play Lost City. I think he had Collapse too, but he had to like make some awkward plays with his like discards and like lost his Collapse when he maybe wanted to stick it in play. And Reggie just did Reggie things. Regigigas obviously just kind of went burr. And round 11, round 12, I ended up playing against Jeremy Castro, who's also playing Lost Box again. This one was fine. I kind of did what I did against Robert, where I tried to make, I tried not to Marnie him. Actually, I think game 1, he lost his Ranguru. He Lost Zoned it, so that was pretty good. But it kind of just kind of did Reggie things. I think he had a turn where he missed an attack, which was huge. And yeah, he just kind of like ran out of steam. And again, it might have been some like missteps along the way, which I think might have hurt him, and also like bad Lost Zone hits. Going into round number 13 was against Victor. We ended up tying. It was against Lugia. I think if I had, I think he won game 1, I won game 2, or it was the other way around, it was one of the two. And then game 3, I would have won game 3 had time not been called, because I Regized him, and his board state was in a state where, like, I can Regize his Lugia, and he doesn't really have a good attacker to go into. And unfortunately, because time was called, I lost, because we didn't have enough time to, like, finish the game in time before somebody could take all the prizes. So I would have won that round had time not been called, because I Regized him and he was out of energy. So I would have won the game. He was out of energy. After I Regized him, he had to retreat Lugia, and that was like it for his energy. So I think I would have won that game had time not been called. So unfortunate run there. And then round 14, I got paired against Gabe Smart, who is a really good player, and bodied me with Lugia. Game 1 was kind of like back and forth. Game 2, I ended up winning because Regice was pretty good. And then game 3, I had some really bad draws. Or not bad draws, I just had awkward draws. I got really greedy. I immediately opened the game off by, like, researching my hand away, and I had, like, 3 supporters. I was basically just, like, trying to play as aggressive as I could to put on as much pressure as I can, because Gabe was having, like, he was, starting really well. He had the Manaphy Dunsparce, so, like, immediately, like, just things were not going well. So I played really greedy, and I got punished because I researched into 2 more Reggies that I already had in play. I drew the Regieleki and the Gigas, which were already in play. So I drew really awkwardly, and I fell behind too hard to be able to make a comeback, and Gabe ended up beating me. And then round 15 up against Terry. At this point, I was, like, checked out. I was exhausted, by the way. I was, like, on 4 hours of sleep in day 2. I was really exhausted. I don't think I could have made top 16 had I won. I was at 26 match points. I don't know if I could have made top 64. So I kind of just, like, was like, I don't really want to, like, I didn't really, I tried, but I was kind of, like, I wasn't really, like, focused on the game that much. Like, I was just so tired. I wasn't really concentrating that much. I wasn't playing as sharply as I did throughout the entire tournament. So, unfortunate there. But he was playing Lost. He was, like, Turbo Lost Box. And that deck is super annoying because, like, bro, when they get, like, a turn 1 Mirage Gate, it's so tilting. Like, I don't know, man. It sucks. He bodied me. Both games just didn't really go too well for me. It is what it is. But that was it. I ended up getting 105th place in the tournament with Regis, which is kind of cool. I'm proud of the deck. Like, the deck ran really hot, again. You saw on stream there. And the list honestly felt really good. Basically, the 3 shoes were great. The Lost Vacuum was clutch. I cut the cape for the Vacuum. And the Lost Vacuum is how I beat the Pikachu deck on stream, is because I Lost Vacuumed away the Paracel. Vacuum was insane. It also helped a lot against, like, Lost City and Collapse Stadium in some of the Mew matches there. So Vacuum was insanely important. I don't know if I would even change the list going into Knoxville. If you're to play this Reggie list to Knoxville, I don't know if you would change anything, because Reggie didn't, like, overperform in Orlando, which means it's probably going to be a safe play for Knoxville. And I really don't think that the deck is bad. I did hit any Goodra, which was nice. Not hitting Goodra made my day, because I was pretty worried about the Goodra matchup. Even if they don't play Paracel, the matchup is still not the best on the planet. So I'm glad I didn't play against Goodra. Glad I didn't play that Arceus Vulpix deck, because I literally played against no Goodra. I would have just played an Arceus Pikachu Aerodactyl deck the entire tournament. Actually, that's a lie. The Vulpix would have been good against Mew VMAX. But yeah, Reggie's was great. This is honestly the funnest deck to play in the format, in my opinion. Like, if you're to play, like, any deck, like Lugia, Lost Box, you know, Duraludon, this deck is the funnest deck to play, because it's really satisfying to, like, find energy, and it's just a fun deck to play, man. I really love Reggie's. I'm going to be summoning Rotates, because this is, like, my favorite. This might be one of my favorite decks ever. It's just so fun to play, so satisfying, and when it works, it works. So, yeah, I'm glad I played Reggie to Orlando. Thank you to everybody who came up to me, said hello, got me to sign something. It was just an awesome time all together. Yeah, I'm glad I chose Reggie's for Orlando. I don't think I would have made any change to the list, and I'm very happy I played at Reggie's. It was like the perfect deck for me to play, and I'm glad I played it. Had a really, really good time. Hung out with a lot of friends all 3 days. We had a lot of fun the entire weekend. One of my most favorite and memorable weekends in my life. So it was just an awesome experience. I love it. Orlando was genuinely a really good place to hold a tournament. The venue was ginormous. Like, the entire, like, convention center was just massive. Even the room we were in was, like, very long, not wide, but long. It was very cold in there. That's one complaint I had. It was very cold in the venue, and it also took a while for, like, rounds to get going. I think day 1 finished at, like, 10:30 at night, which is just mental. But yeah, it was also very cold in there. Like, I was wearing 3 shirts. I was wearing a white shirt, and then I had to wear my Team Shuffle Squad shirt, and then I put on the Pokemon shirt they give you when you go on stream. And then I put on a hoodie afterwards, and I was still cold. So it was a little too cold in the venue, man. It was a little too cold. They definitely should have, I don't know, it was a little too cold in there. Like, I was sitting under vents. Like, round 4, I was sitting under a vent. And the whole game, I was just sitting there like this, because I was freezing. I'm, like, trying to play the game, and I'm, like, my opponent's playing their turn, and I'm just sitting there like this, like, shaky. It was cold in there, man. So I don't know. That was one complaint I had about the venue. It was way too cold. But it was a great location. I think Sunday, me and a bunch of buddies from my local league, Manta, went over to Disney Springs. Really fun time there. We ended up going to, like, a restaurant, and it was just a great experience. Had a lot of laughs. Hung out with a lot of friends. Hung out with the Shuffle Squad this weekend quite a bit. So yeah, it was a great time. I really had a blast getting to see people again, getting to meet people, all that good stuff, going on stream and all that stuff. The interview, it was just such a memorable weekend, man. It was just, well, a weekend I don't think I'll ever forget, man. It was a blast. It's sad because the day I left Orlando, it was, like, literally not even a cloud in the sky. It was such a nice day on Monday when I left, but unfortunately, because I had to leave, I wasn't able to enjoy the experience. I never went to Disney World or anything, unfortunately, which I wish I kind of went to, but it's kind of making day 2 kind of got in that way. And even, like, the plane ride home was pretty nice. I had a window seat. The whole plane ride home, there's no clouds in the sky. You could literally just see below you. You could see everything below you. It was so cool. I loved it. Anyways, but yeah, that'll be it for my my Orlando Regionals report run experience. It was a great time. I had such a blast playing in the tournament with the Reggie deck. I am so glad I ended up winning on stream, and I'm so glad that everything kind of went well for me. It was fun, man. It was fun. And I don't think I would have played any other deck to Orlando, and I'm glad I played Reggie's. Will I play Reggie's to Knoxville? I will be going to Knoxville. I'm not sure yet. I have to think on that one, but I don't know, man. Reggie's, it just seems like my deck, so that was awesome. Shout out to everybody who supported me and everything and all that good stuff, and I will catch you all on another video here on the second channel very soon, and thank you, and have a good day.